University is tough. Making friends is tough. So, here are a few incredibly simple tips to help you out. Remember people's names. Now, this is possibly the simplest and most obvious and important ways of just gaining goodwill with someone. All you have to do is call a chap by his name, and the right one. Okay, trust me now, especially in first year and especially in Freshers Week, you're gonna meet a lot of people. Most conversations will start along the lines of, oh, by the way, what's your name? But by the time you've ended the conversation and say bye, the name's gone in one ear and out the other. This is what 99% of people do. Now, what I want you to do is make yourself the exception, because God knows that I didn't. I do feel bad about it, but names has been a massive weak point for me this year. It's possibly the way in which I've let myself down the most. Because to its owner, a name is the most important and sweetest sound in any language. The average person is more interested in their own names than all the other names on earth put together. People are so proud of their own titles that they'll perpetuate them at any cost. I mean, whatever uni you're going to or whatever uni you're at, I guarantee you that every single accommodation or building is named after some rich person with too much money and too much ego. Here, Warwick Uni is exactly the same. Some people will even go as far as to name like YouTube channels after themselves. Don't look at me like that. Okay, what I'm trying to say is that if you actually manage to remember someone's name and recall it very easily, you've paid that person a subtle but powerful compliment. Now, on the other hand, if you forget it or misspell it, it will be the most awkward situation of your life. Unfortunately, yeah, I've definitely done that this year. Remembering people's names, personally, I think is the best way to go from a casual acquaintance to a friend. If you met someone once at a party and then every time you see them walking around campus, you'll like nod to them, you'll say, "Sup, man, yeah." Yeah. That's one thing. I mean, you'll do that for a few months. Eventually, you'll stop shaking your head at them and eventually they'll become a stranger again. But instead, if you greet them with something like, "Hey, Peter, how have you been?" I promise you, that is infinitely better. As long as their name's actually Peter. If it's Susan, you've really stepped in it. Let me throw some quotes at you. John Dewey once said, "The desire to feel important is the deepest urge in human nature." Similarly, William James said, "The deepest principle in human nature The deepest principle in human nature is the desire to be appreciated." And if you recall their name, you're showing them that you appreciate them enough to remember. I mean, come on, get it together. This is politics 101. Now, if you're terrible at remembering names, here's a solid technique. It's the one that Napoleon III used. Trust me, he was infamous for remembering people's names. Just take my word for it. So, at first, of course, ask someone's name. Now, if you didn't quite get it, simply say, "Sorry about that, I didn't quite get that the first time. Do you mind saying it again?" Now, if it's an especially tough name, you could always just ask them to spell it. Finally, as soon as Napoleon was alone, he would write it down. Then he would stare at it. He would think about it, attach it to that person, and finally, he would rip the piece of paper up. Now, what's stopping you from just doing the same thing in your notes app? Just please don't tear up your phone once it's done. It will be incredibly hard to do, and as well as that, you'll have to buy a new phone. And if you have to do that every time you learn someone's name, it's a waste of money. Someone's name is simply their identity. It's what sets them apart as unique. I mean, casually repeat it back to them when you're talking to them, just to keep their attention. Don't be creepy about it though. Don't just sit there going, "Hey, so Jamie, how are you, Jamie? Are you great, Jamie? I'm good, Jamie. Thanks, Jamie." Jamie! Sorry. That was way too loud. Okay, cool, I don't really have anything else to say. But Alfie, seriously, make sure you do that, come on. Don't look at me like that, of course I know your name. If there are any Alfies watching right now, they have seriously just been creeped out. Right, there we go. Woo! Why are there so many picnic benches? I don't know where they came from. There's more! Deck chairs. Deck chair. Deck chair. I want a cool shot of me in a deck chair. Okay, go away. Take your damn headphones out. Let me just say, first of all, that technology is wonderful. I mean, AirPods Pro, in my opinion, are one of the most marvelous things that humans have created, full stop. However, they're a perfect exemplification of what I believe is absolutely killing people's basic ability to interact. Social anxiety is more prevalent than ever. And over this past year at university, I've come to realize that the only real solution to having bad social skills or being socially awkward is practice.
What is your advice for people that aren't very social and have a hard time making friends? Get the hell out there and practice, man.
Think of it as a skill, like any other. To illustrate my point, I want to have a quick look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. On this diagram are humans' basic needs laid out in order of importance, and a surprising way down is the love and belonging section, otherwise known as human interaction. Here we see that it's fundamentally important to a human's well-being. Basically, you and I need real in-person friendships. We need those moments of laughter and conversation. And the more we have these interactions, the better we get at them. And that's how it's worked for thousands and I guess millions of years. Our generation, though, is stuck. We've got ourselves into a positive feedback loop. You see, interacting with people in person, as I'm sure you know, is hard. And so what we've done is just buried our heads in the sand. Chosen instead the easy option of interacting with a luminous rectangle by ourselves in our safe, quiet rooms. Now, as a result of this, we've all become disconnected and unpracticed. And will eventually actually afraid of, even just small talk. Some people our age won't even pick up the phone anymore. Walking down the streets, we all stare at our phones just to avoid eye contact. We put headphones in our ears so we don't even have the possibility of overhearing a conversation. Never mind joining one. Now, I'm gonna ask you, how do you ever expect to meet anyone like that? Frankly, you're making yourself the least approachable person possible. Would you walk up to someone hunched over in a corner with their face half an inch from their phone? Do you seriously think that your phone could make you happier than the real world could? So, when you leave your room at university, go. Talk to new people. It's going to be tough, awkward. You may even feel like ripping off your own skin at points. But I promise you, the more you talk to people, the more you realize that it's not scary at all. We all have that basic need for love and belonging, and it needs to be met. So go practice. And for the love of God, take smile. It sounds really basic, but it's really often overlooked. Whoa, what was that? The expression on your face says more about who you are than anything you could possibly wear. Just think about it. If actions speak louder than words, then a smile simply says, I like you. Dogs. They are some of the most loved animals on the planet. And why? They don't really provide us with anything. Except they do. Happiness and love. And they do that by simply just being happy every time they see us. I had a flatmate this year at university that was terrific at this. Day, night, any mood he was in, any time he'd see me walking around, he'd simply just smile. Like the sight of me made him happy. Okay, he wasn't in love with me, I know how that sounds. So every time I saw him, I was excited to see him too. Did you know phone companies actually tell their employees to smile when they're talking to people on the phone? Because your smile even comes through to your voice. Stop it. At university, you need to have a good time meeting people. Otherwise, how do you expect people to have a good time meeting you? And the way you show you're having a good time is just with a grin. Ready? Let's practice. So, you don't feel like smiling. Force yourself. If you act like you're already happy, that'll tend to make you happy. When you walk into a room, draw your chin in, pull your head high, and greet people with a grin. People often think that action follows feeling, but in reality they actually go somewhat together. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. That's a Shakespeare quote for you, thank you very much. Here's a really cool simple Chinese proverb. A man without a smiling face should not open a shop. How obvious is that? Such a cool sentence. Just try and remind yourself every now and again to smile. A smile enriches those who receive it without impoverishing those who give it. And if someone hasn't smiled at you, well, then no one needs a smile more than those who have none left to give. Practice your smile and be proud of it. I love mine. Okay guys, that's it for today's video. Seriously, thank you so much for watching. I put a lot of effort into these and it really does mean a lot. Recently, as you can probably tell, I've bought a bunch of new equipment and let's just say I don't really have a student loan anymore. So because of that, it would be seriously fantastic if you could leave a like, a comment, or subscribe. If not, that's fine. You don't have to do that. You can just check out my Instagram and my TikTok instead. Actually, I'm doing a lot on there at the moment, especially TikTok. I'm actually doing daily uni vlogs at the moment. Apart from that, I think we're done. I wish you the absolute best. Remember, I love you, I believe in you, and I will see you soon.